Where are you right now?
I'm driving to another radio station.
Wait, you're actually driving right now or somebody's driving you?
No, someone's driving. Come on,
Okay.
that's ridiculous.
Gotcha.
Even the Tesla doesn't even self-drive like that anymore. It doesn't do it.
Yeah, because it was smashing into too many people by itself.
I didn't smash into anybody, though. Why am I suffering from that?
That's why we can't have nice things.
Yeah, they ruined it.
Now, Diplo, before we even start this, I just need to know 100%. Is this Diplo or is this one of his clones?
Could be a clone. I don't even know anymore. I reprogrammed so well that we don't know who's the original.
It's like multiplicity gone wrong. Well, either way, Diplo or clone, welcome to America's Dance 30 for the first time.
Hey.
I can't believe it's the first time having you on the show. It's great seeing you. It's been a long time since we've had a chance to catch up. Besides you being insanely busy, how have you been?
It's been a busy year doing everything from traveling to the Caribbean for shows to doing Stagecoach. Now I got my Pasha residency in Ibiza. And then just being in LA, writing records and going to Vegas this weekend. It's you know how it is. The summer season is when everybody goes to parties and plays the dance music. So I'm out there. I'm out there in the streets.
Yeah, you definitely are. And getting some parties in the streets shut down.
Yeah, we don't just party at night anymore. We party in the day.
Exactly. Well, congratulations on the incredible success of Heaven or Not with Riva Starr and Kareen Lomax.
Thank you. Thank you for playing that.
Absolutely. Can't wait to talk about how this song was born, especially since the first time I heard Kareen Lomax was on another one of your songs. Before we talk all about Heaven or Not, let's get to know Diplo a little better with Finky's Firsts.
Yes, sir.
So I know music runs deep in your blood. You grew up in Florida. You were in Florida breaks. You were throwing parties and doing mixtapes. You were even a radio DJ at your college radio station. But I love finding out the origin story of artists. When you were younger and growing up, was music the first thing you wanted to get into, or was there something else?
No, I mean, I really like sports. I was really into football when I was really young. When you're in Florida, you kind of like gravitate to football. You start playing from like 3, 4 years old. I was really into that. I decided I wasn't bigger than, but all the guys in Florida are just gigantic. So around like 10 years old, I was like, these kids are already like 3 feet taller than me. So I shifted to basketball. I tried that for a little bit. It's pretty bad in baseball. Never really made an impact. I finally got to wrestling, and I was actually pretty good at that. I was good wrestling. And then I think that was like about high school. Then I started getting beat up, like in the wrestling matches. So I moved on to music.
Music was a last resort.
Yeah, it was last resort.
Now, of course, Diplo isn't your real name. I saw your post about you naming yourself after a dinosaur because you were obsessed with them. Is that true that you got the name Diplo from Diplodocus?
Yeah, I did get it from that. It was a girl named me that in like middle school, and it kind of stuck with me. I don't know how I transferred it to Diplo, but it sounded like way better. It's easier to pronounce. And I've kept it for, man, this is going to be 8 years, 29 years of that name.
Well,
that's crazy.
Happy early 30th anniversary of Diplo.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I had to Googleize that dinosaur, and that is a sick-looking dinosaur.
Yeah, it's a big dinosaur. It was the biggest dinosaur for many decades, and they found another one that was bigger called Argentinosaurus. Now there's even a bigger one, but the biggest animal in the world will always remain the blue whale.
Well, I got to be honest, I'm glad you chose Diplo over blue whale.
Yeah, blue whale is pretty good. Could be cool.
Now, when you were deciding on artist names, was Diplo the first name you were going to go with, or were there other names you were considering?
I had a bunch. I used to do graffiti a lot, too. I was in a little graffiti crew living in, like, the cities I moved to, Tennessee, Fort Lauderdale, and I had a couple graffiti names, and but none of them were that cool. I just kind of stuck with Diplo, and then that was my nom de guerre. But, since then I made 5 other projects. We have Jack U, we have Major Lazer, Silk City, Thomas Wesley. And I think something new I'm trying to put out soon too is another project. So I'm always kind of keeping my LSD. There's always new kind of projects happening.
Yeah, I don't know how you keep track of everything.
I don't.
That's why you've got an assistant.
Yeah.
Now, along
She's
the
off,
same
so I don't know. I really losing it right now.
along the same lines, you mentioned Major Lazer. Was Major Lazer the first name you guys were going to go with, or were there other names?
That name was so funny that we just kind of made a bunch of words up that we've heard in Jamaica, like Major, Admiral, Colonel, and all these laser, Banton. Like we just kind of grabbed a bunch of words and put them in a hat, and those were the first two words that came out. It was Major and Laser. That was the name of the project.
Well, it's such an epic name. That's so crazy that it came together like that.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Now, you've done shows, I think, on every single square of this planet. But do you remember the first show you ever did?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was in Daytona Beach at a pool during spring break for a bunch of families. And the guy who gave me the job took the weekend off, and he was DJing with cassettes and all kinds of stuff. This is very much like early '90s, mid '90s, I think. And I was like 16 years old, and I just went there and DJed a pool party. And I had whatever records I had. I had like a Jimi Hendrix record, a Beastie Boys record, maybe one or two house records, the Allman Brothers. I just played songs, mixed them together. No real blending, not really dance music even.
Man, I remember the days of trying to put things together on cassette where you would hit pause and then try to release it real quick before you start the next one.
Yeah, I mean, I did that with radio. I love taping radio songs, making my own mixtapes.
Yeah.
I know the countdown would have these songs in a row, and I would count them down and always record like the Madonna song or the Guns N' Roses song and make little mixtapes like that.
Now, by the way, is there anywhere that you haven't played that you still want to play?
I've been to every continent now, and I've gone to the place that I really wanted to see, like whether it was Western Australia or Mongolia or Pakistan, someplace in the Middle East, like Iran or someplace in Africa that are really hard to get to, like Rwanda. Played Malawi, Uganda. So many. There's still some frontier out there. Bhutan. I've never been to Bolivia. Anybody in Bolivia want to book me? That's a couple. There's always somewhere. The moon, Mars.
The
maybe
moon,
20 years.
absolutely. Get you on Blue Origin and have you playing out in space.
Yeah, I tried that already. It was really expensive.
I bet. Now, you were just on the cover of Architectural Digest, which a few weeks ago I said that's when you know you've made it as an artist, is when you're on the cover of Architectural Digest. But do you remember your first house that you grew up in?
I do remember the first one. I wasn't born there, but I was in South Carolina, and it was on a dirt road. But it was a little tiny 3-bedroom house. I slept in my own room. My sisters had a room, and we had like a briar patch in the back. It was all red clay. I remember walking out barefoot all the time, finding like stones and Indian artifacts, and it was like a little fantasy world. I loved it back then.
Such good times, right?
Yeah, the best times. Bring it back.
Now, I made the comment earlier about you needing a clone because of how crazy busy you are. If you could clone yourself, what would be the first thing you would have the clone take over?
Man, I would have him organize my computer files, organize my Dropbox, then go to the gym for me.
Yes!
And then sleep for me. Those are the first things I needed to do.
And then do radio interviews for you.
He can do all the other stuff like my laundry and radio interviews. Do the run club for me. Go run like the marathon for me. And I'll go to sleep and I'll do the shows.
God, it would be so nice to have a clone. Now, finally, in honor of Heaven or Not and the success that this song has had, it's got the lyrics, "I'm not afraid of falling." But what is Diplo's first number one major fear?
I'm actually afraid of heights. Pretty bad.
Really?
I went skydiving once and I would never do it again. I didn't find any pleasure in it. I would never bungee jump. I remember skydiving. I did it to DJ a show at the Preakness, which is a horse race in Baltimore, and they threw me out of the plane with a bunch of Navy SEALs. They were so anxiety driven, crazy neurotic guys that I was like, "What is going on here?" We had to punch through clouds, and the free fall was pretty chill, but the parachute ride was like crazy. I just could not look down. I couldn't look straight. I had to close my eyes. So we landed. I was just so not into that. Not into that vibe.
Yeah, I've skydove, I think it's 12 times now. And when we canopy, I tell all the instructors, listen, don't spin us because that's where my equilibrium just gets messed up.
And that's like kind of like that's 90% of skydiving. Maybe more. 95 is that. And I just was not into it. I did it once. I'll never do it again.
But it's so crazy. I see you cliff jumping all the time. That doesn't bother you?
I don't know. I'm not afraid of water, and I know how to control my body, but when you're that high, it just feels like that's I mean, I know my limits. I will never go like past like 50 feet. You know, some guys do like 80, 100 feet. For some reason, I love the invigoration of cliff jumping. Just after 50 feet, you get the speed that starts to become scary and dangerous. But skydiving was just, I don't know. I don't like the being in that parachute. It wasn't my vibe.
Well, let's talk about happier stuff, Heaven or Not.
Yeah.
How was this song born with Riva Starr and Kareen Lomax?
I've been friends with Riva many years. He's an Italian DJ. We've always traded records, played shows for about a decade or two. And Kareen's a really good writing partner of mine. We've written a lot of records together. We've written house records and folk records. We've written records for the people like Leon Bridges. She has an amazing voice. We had a hit a couple years back, Looking for Me. And I just love her voice. And I asked Riva to help produce a piano track. And that was the record he gave me. And me and Kareen wrote the record with LC Juba, another amazing songwriter. And we put it out, I think, a couple months back, and it's making the rounds. People love it, and it's a really good groover, and it's kind of like that emotional type of piano house that I love, and I'm glad it's growing.
Yeah, it's got such a great vibe to it. Now, how long ago did you guys start working on it?
It's probably been a year. That was pretty quick. We made the beat like a year ago, and I wrote it like 6 months ago, and it got out pretty quick. So, you want to have those records up in the summertime.
Now, something I love to find out about songs is how many different Vs there are from when you start working on it, all the tweaking that goes on to when you finally master it and put it out. Do you remember what the final V was of Heaven or Not?
This one wasn't that long. I mean, mainly it was in the production. The production I loved from the beginning. We had a lot of mixes get done on it. Like a lot of mixers try to mix it because we couldn't get the right sound because it had to be somewhere between pop with the vocal and then someone that could make a really banging club sound. But it was mainly the songwriting. We did the hook about 6 or 7 times, 6 or 7 different hooks before we landed on the right one. The verses were done early. So I'd say probably like version 15 you heard after the mixes and everything.
Well, it's such an incredible song. Congratulations on all the success with it. Congratulations on everything that's been going on for you. Diplo, thank you so much for your time with us on America's Dance 30.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.